Orlando, I love you. Oh, I forgot. We're not in Orlando. We're virtual. Hey, all. This is Ed Rollins, the interim executive director of the Handbell Musicians of America, and welcome to our non-Orlando first ever virtual handbell seminar. We're glad you're a part of it. And it's been a great day. We've had about 500 participants. And as you might expect, there have been a few technical glitches, but we're in constant contact and we're trying to resolve all of those issues. Yes, there was an issue with the trade show booth today, but that will be resolved by tomorrow. So we appreciate your patience and we hope you're having a great time. And there is some more good news, and I guess it's just amazing news is a way to put it. In less than 2 months, Jenny Cahorn and the planning committee have transformed seminar into an amazing virtual seminar. And I cannot begin to tell you the number of hours, meetings, lawyer interventions, training sessions, and changes that this group has done in a short time. The staff too had been incredibly busy, probably none more than Marie and JR. Somehow, JR has moved everything to a virtual platform in a short period of time. Just an incredible job. So we just appreciate him and the whole committee and Jenny. And so I think all across the country, join me in some wild applause. And I want to hear it. Woo! We do have a few serious type announcements that I want to transfer onto you tonight. Be sure to check out the Pathable homepage, the front page there, and there are several things that should come to your attention. One of those is the silent auction. That's on its way, and you can bid on, I think there are 47 different items, and you'll be able to land whatever you want, and you can get those Handbell Musician of America face masks, a really good gift. Second thing is, tomorrow night, we will be honoring two new members of the Honorary Life. We'll be awarding two more people into that distinguished group. And for you to prepare, you might want to go to the button there that says Honorary Life and watch the video of what some of our other Honorary Life people have done for us through the years. There's also a button on that page that says Concert Experiences, and tonight's program can be found in that area right there. So if you want to see the program for tonight, you can click on that. And speaking of concerts, you know, a lot has gone into our crazy pandemic world these last few months, and part of that is that most of our ensembles stopped rehearsing. And so they've done magical things to put together concerts for you every night. And we're so very grateful for that. And we hope you'll attend each night because you're going to hear some terrific stuff. And tonight's virtual concert experience is presented by the Bells of the Cascades, and it's under the direction of Matt Compton. So please enjoy. Well, this is Matt Compton, and we're pleased to have him here tonight to tell us a little bit about what's going on. And so, what did we just see, Matt?
Hello, thank you, Ed. Yeah, so last year when we did this Melodica Men concert, it was just a joy to have them come out from Florida. They live in the Jacksonville area, and it was just such a joy to have them come work with us. And so this is their standard concert introduction that they did, and so we thought it would just be a fun addition to this concert. We would have done it this year anyway, so we thought this would just been a really fun start to this concert. So it's their little movie get your attention sort of piece.
Cool. Well, it's always a thrill to be invited to perform at seminar, and then the pandemic happened. And what happened to your group when that happened?
We were about to perform a concert, and we were having rehearsal on a Tuesday night, and then we get a call that our concert 5 days later got canceled. And then I told the group, I was like, well, next week is St. Patrick's Day weekend, so have the week off. I'll see you on the 26th of March. I have not seen them since, unfortunately. But this was it was still an honor to be invited this year and to create this concert experience. And so it's just a real honor to be able to even share what we have done with a larger handbell community. So we're still very honored to have been given this opportunity.
Ah, terrific. And what will we actually be seeing tonight then?
Quite a variety of music. Most of the pieces are from last year's concert with the Melodica Men. One piece from this year's concert. We unfortunately did not get too many videos this year, but most of the pieces came from last year's concert. We figured, seeing as we were supposed to perform with them live this year, we might as well share the videos that we have with them. So you'll hear a bunch of classical transcriptions, and you'll hear video game music and original music and opera. A couple collaborations, and so yeah, it's been a lot of fun to prepare this concert. Yeah, so I hope you all enjoy it. So thank you very much for this experience.
Yeah, it sounds good, and we're looking forward to it. So carry on.
Thank you. right. Before we talk to Alex Giebert here, I want to talk a little bit about the last piece, which was Procession of the Nobles by Rimsky-Korsakov, arranged by Kevin McChesney. And we had the pleasure of having Kylie Johnson, one of the ringers of Bells of the Cascades, and then Joe Buono of the Melodica Men playing the four-hand piano part. And so it's just a very boisterous, almost over-the-top original composition, but a really fun concert opener. We have a couple special guests that I brought along because I didn't really want to talk for an hour by myself. So I figured I would defer to some other people who know more about their music than I do. So the first guest we have tonight is Alex Giebert, who's become a very close friend of mine. He and I met back at National Seminar in Grand Rapids and just became very close very quickly. And so it is my pleasure to have him here to talk a little bit about Bulwarkana, which is a piece that Bells of the Cascades played last year. And it was a piece that it caught my attention immediately. The first time I heard it, I text Alex in a frenzy saying, I need this piece immediately. And Alex was generous enough to let Bells of the Cascades premiere it last year. And so I'd like to introduce Alex to talk a little bit more about it.
Thank you, Matt. I'm really excited about the whole thing. Bells of the Cascades did a great job with it, as you'll see. A little bit of background about this piece. I just love words, the creative power of words, the history of words. That's something I've always loved. I figured I wanted to write a piece that had a title that nobody had ever come up with before, because we have a lot of, well-used titles in the handbell world, to put it in a nice way. Not that that's a bad thing, but I thought, I'm going to just make up a word. I put two words together, bulwark, which means a fortifying wall, and arcana, which is like mysteries or ancient truths that are not understood. And I thought that sounded cool together. I like the idea of those two words meshing. Bulwark is like Germanic and arcana is Latin, so it's kind of a meshing of culture too. And I just thought I wanted to portray something spiritual, like spiritual power, specifically the battle between God and the devil. And I thought that was a really fascinating sort of concept. So I threw in a little bit of Ein feste Burg, which is A Mighty Fortress by Martin Luther. And it's just fragments at the beginning, and you might miss it, but that's okay. It's mostly original material until you hear, finally near the very end of the piece, you finally hear the last line of Mighty Fortress, because we get this sense in these big chords, these big pillars, we get this sense that God has triumphed over evil at the end of the piece. So I hope you enjoy.
It's a Oh, I love that piece so much. I was talking to Alex about this, and I'm pretty sure that's my favorite bell piece ever composed. It's just purely electrifying. It's got so much energy to it, and there are just moments in it that just are purely exhilarating. It's probably the most fun piece I've conducted ever. But yeah, I wanted to introduce one of our ringers from Bells of the Cascades who is joining us this evening, Barb Hughes. I've just had the pleasure to get to know Barb after the past few years, and I was going to have Barb introduce herself, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Melodic Men experience. So Barb, take it away.
Thank you, Matt. Well, watching that again just reminded me of how much I enjoyed playing that piece. It was just so fun and challenging, but just ultimately fun. A lot of rhythmic changes and dissonance, and really triumphant in the end. So I appreciated the opportunity to be able to play that. And I've been with Bells of the Cascades since August of 2017. And I first picked up a handbell in May of 2017. So I was fortunate to be able to find this guy, that guy, as my handbell guru, and I was just very fortunate to be able to get into his church group and then into the Bells of the Cascades very quickly, and I surprised even myself. So,
well, you picked up so fast. You learned it. You picked up the instrument so fast, and your dedication to learning and to making the music happen is amazing. So you deserved it. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that. I wanted to make it happen. So yeah.
And you did.
So I did. So playing with the Melodica Men was amazing. And even preparing to play with the Melodica Men was amazing because your enthusiasm was so contagious. And it just kind of built us up into what we were going to be doing with them. And when we finally did get to meet them and play with them, they met our expectations. There was no disappointment. They were just as fun as they are on their videos, in person as well as on their videos. And they were just fun. I mean, they were like little kids running around. When we weren't actually rehearsing, they were running around playing their melodicas and entertaining us in the back during intermission, and just a delight, and so Absolutely. Musical, so like virtuosos, and yet Absolutely. They could just relax and have fun with it, and that helped us all feel the same way.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that the group they related to the group so quickly. They are, as you said, virtuosic musicians. Tristan is the principal trumpet for the Jacksonville Symphony, and Joe is a music educator, but their music playing is just unreal. It's unmatched, and they're just so good. So to have them come play with us was a dream that I didn't think would happen. I have crazy ideas that I'm never sure if the group will actually buy into, but the group seemed to really buy into this one, which is really great. And so what was cool is when we were rehearsing with them, we had a ringer whose son was graduating from college, so she wasn't able to be there for the rehearsal. So they were like, can we try? And so they came up and picked up bells and rehearsed with us very well. They picked up the instrument literally quickly. And one of the pieces, actually Bulwarkana, they split apart in half, which made it even harder, I think, to split apart into two. And so it's amazing to just see just how quickly they pick things up. The next piece we're going to play is one of my favorites. It was a medley from The Legend of Zelda, which The Legend of Zelda is one of my favorite video games ever. And so it's a fun medley that was arranged by Joe from the Melodica Men that I just knew we had to play if we were going to do a concert with them. So I was able to adapt it for bells, and we played it together. So this is a medley from The Legend of Zelda, and I hope you enjoy. All right. So for this next introduction, I would like to introduce Garrett Bond, who is another one of our ringers in Bells of the Cascades. He's one of our newest members. So Garrett, tell us very briefly a little bit about yourself.
Hi there. Yeah, so my name is Garrett Bond. I'm an Oregon native originally. I began ringing handbells in my second or third year of college out in Minnesota, where actually my partner at the time did not want to join the handbell ensemble alone, wanted to do it with somebody that they knew. And so, lo and behold, I walked into the first rehearsal not having the faintest idea anything about what handbell was, let alone anything about the instrument type, and just absolutely fell in love. I grew up in the choral and instrumental world, so approaching handbells for the first time, I was so fascinated by the art form of only having one or two notes as opposed to having the full keyboard or the full range of the fingerboard or whatnot. And my love for the instrument was so fostered by my director, Dr. Jill Marr. So Jill, if you're watching, thank you for believing in me and fostering such a wonderful environment. And then I moved out to Portland, and one of my best friends, Ben Freshley, also moved out here with me. Not with me, but we moved to the same area. And him and I wanted to ring together, and so then we found Matthew and the Bells of the Cascades, and I have been with the group for about a year now. And it has been such a pleasure to be a part and to grow more into this environment, this experience.
Wonderful. So one of the things that Bells of the Cascades really focused on this past year was the idea of connecting the music beyond just playing the black and white. So connecting musical lines and what that meant to literally connect to the people ringing next to you. What was that kind of experience like? And kind of briefly, just kind of how has that shaped your way of ringing as opposed to thinking about more than just your part, how expanding and connecting and passing your musical lines to each other? And I wanted to have both Barb and Garrett, both of you talk about it for just a little bit.
Yeah, Barb, would you like to go first?
Well, it's both humbling and empowering to learn to play music in an ensemble, because you go in wanting to get your part right, and you feel good when you know you have your part. But the other, expanding beyond that, is all the people next to you who are playing their parts. And it's important to be able to listen and tune in to what the people around you are doing, and while you're watching the director, and being in that space of creating a piece of art in that moment. And like I say, it's humbling because I've learned so much from every other ringer in the group. I had to learn very quickly, but I didn't just learn from Matt. I learned from everybody that I've ever rung with. And when that feeling comes up that you're blending and you've got it, it's just a magnificent feeling. It's very joyful when you've created a piece at the highest possible level.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think in the choral universe and in much of the world of classical music, we find ourselves so focused on doing what we can at the highest level, focusing on the director, standing still, not touching our face, all of that. But then with Bells of the Cascades, Matthew is so adamant about looking at each other and experiencing the community by which we are trying to form with one another. And so when we play our pieces, he just highly encourages us to look at each other, be in the moment with each other, experience the music with each other. And it never fails just to make me just smile because it's so outside of my comfort zone. But it really makes me realize I'm creating music with other people, not just with myself. And that is how I feel we create our community, is through unity and through creating together.
I completely agree.
Absolutely.
And I think the next piece, Commemoration of the Spirit, is one of those pieces that really showcases that immensely. Bill Payne composes a gorgeous piece that is just continuous line after line of connecting literally to the people next to you. And I think so much of the time we get so focused on our part that we sometimes forget there are people standing next to us. And so I really wanted to focus on that with this piece and this year in general. The impact that music has on people is unreal. One of my favorite quotes is, "Where words fail, music speaks." And I think that so much of that comes from what Garrett and Barb will both talk about, of creating the music with people, creating that community. And so it goes further than that is what is our experience of connecting with humanity? What do we do? how do people impact our lives, and how do we impact others' lives? It can be our family, our friends, people that we know and love. It can be something as simple as your barista at a Starbucks. Smiling at them can change their day, their week, their year. But how do we create a community, and how do we be there for each other? And so as you listen to Commemoration of the Spirit, I hope you just reflect on what is your impact on other people's lives, and how do the people just sitting next to you impact your life? So this is Commemoration of the Spirit. That piece always just relaxes me. It's one of my favorites. Makes me very, very emotional. I want to introduce Jacob Erdman, one of my best friends who went to Concordia University, Wisconsin with me. Jake and I just got very close very quickly in college. We rang together, sang together. We're roommates, we're tour roommates, and did just about everything best friends do in college. So Jake's one of my closest friends. So I'm going to have him introduce himself a little bit, and then we're going to talk about our composition Rhapsody in B-flat minor.
All right, thanks, Matt. So I am Jake Erdman, as Matt said, and I am a church musician out in Appleton, Wisconsin. And like Matt said, we met in college at Concordia University in Wisconsin, and we kind of met through bells and taking music classes and became really good friends. And so we then came up with the idea just to write a piece together. And yeah.
Yeah, so last year at National Seminar, you all heard The Storm Shall Pass, played by the Houston Chamber Ringers. That was Jake and I. Jake and I composed it. It came together, I think we figured out it was 7 hours. Wrote it very quickly, had a piece.
Something like that.
We're like, let's write another one, which is the piece you're about to hear, which took about 6 months to write. But it's a piece that we just, I think, really fell in love with because we came up with so many different ideas. Jake, do you want to talk a little bit about the writing process?
Yeah, so it did take around like 6 months to write, and so we were writing different sections over the months and kind of writing all over the place and just combining the different sections together. It was really fun to put together, and one of the things that stuck out to me that we remember with this piece is that we decided we wanted to write it in F minor, and after about 3 or 4 measures into it, we realized that, oh no, it's in B flat minor. And so then we just decided, okay, we'll keep it with B flat minor. And so
yeah, it's a whirlwind of a composition that has really, I think, is my favorite piece that I've ever composed. And so writing with Jake has always been such a highlight of mine because Jake's harmonic sense just complements mine so well. What Jake thinks of just blows me away every time. And so this is Rhapsody in B flat minor, and I hope you enjoy it. The next piece we're going to play is called Invictus, and when we were planning this Melodica Men concert, there was a surprising lack of repertoire for handbells and melodicas for some reason, so I figured I should write something. So this is Invictus, which was an original composition for bells and melodica that we premiered at this concert. Hope you enjoy. All right. So just before we do one last piece for you, I just want to bring Garrett and Barb back. Just in a few words, what is either your favorite thing about Bells of the Cascades or a particular highlight of being in the group so far? Garrett, I'll have you go first.
Meeting Barb. So,
No.
April of 2019, I remember seeing a picture of the Cascades before I ever auditioned. And for some reason, Barb was the one person I was like, who is that? In the most non-creepy way possible. Then when I get to Bells Cascades in August, I was like, I'm going to meet her, and we've become friends ever since. You know, amongst everyone in the group, she is always such a charming, just like friendly, wonderfully, happily, bubbly person. And people like that in Bells Cascades just make me so very happy. So definitely Barb is a highlight. But
I love that.
Man. Garrett, you're
your turn.
Awfully kind. Thank you. Well, then maybe I'll say that it was meeting Brian Parrott because the first concert I attended was Matt's first concert directing. And I was so taken with the bells that I talked with Brian afterwards as he was putting away the bass chimes. And I said, I started asking him a lot of questions about learning how to play bells. And he gave me a few things that I might consider doing. And then I asked him the question, so I guess to be in Bells of the Cascades, you have to have a lot of experience, right? You have to be ringing for a long time. And he paused a moment and then he said, well, not necessarily. You just have to be good. And so that was my inspiration to say, okay, well then all I have to do is be good, you know. And I worked really hard that summer to be able to get into it, and I was very, very thrilled to have achieved that. So, yeah.
That's wonderful.
There have been several moments. There have been several really peak moments for me. So it's just been a real passion. So
wonderful. Well, I want to thank you both so much for. I want to thank you both very much for joining, and I want to thank Alex and Jake for jumping in with me here. We have one last piece for you, and this piece itself is a personal highlight because I think it reflects the growth of this ensemble since I first started directing them. And every ringer that I've had the pleasure to work with in the ensemble has made Bells of the Cascades what it is now. We have such a strong group. The camaraderie in the group is amazing, and I appreciate and love every single person. And so for me, it's just a highlight to be the director. And so I want to thank the National Seminar Committee for allowing us to perform here for you in your living rooms, kitchens, wherever you may be. And I want to thank Derek Nance, Bob Avant, and the whole seminar committee for making all of this possible. And I hope that you enjoy our final composition, which is Carmen Fantasy, arranged by Joe Buono and Tristan, and then adapted for handbells. And thank you so much for allowing us to be here.